Hello, first grade. So today marks the last topic that we will look at that will be a review for the whole year. And the most exciting thing is that it's math. And we covered so much. So just like the other video that I did that showed all the work, I have laid out the math work that I have in my possession on the floor. And I'm going to take you through it on a journey and to look at all that we've done and kind of remind us where we've been. So here we go. So for the beginning of this, you can see it goes on, and you'll see some familiar pictures. But let's start here. So right at the beginning of the year, we talked about what is the biggest number. And we talked about how in the world, everything comes down to the number 1, because everything is part of one whole universe, one whole just experience of life, and that we are all part of one. And so that's what that is. And then we moved into these different qualities, or these different numbers, right? So for 1, we just talked about that. But then the 2, sun and moon, night and day, things like that. And then, oh yes, we had fun with writing the Roman numeral, which will come back to you actually all the way ahead in 6th grade. 1 cherry, and the number 1, the way we write it, and then how we spell these words, which in most cases are sight words. We can't really sound them out. The 2 and the 2, and we had fun figuring out what those Roman numerals are. So I flip it over. I had them on my back. And 3, right? We have a triangle. We have our head, our heart, and our hands, and all kinds of things. 3 cherries, a pair, always a pair, and 1. And then a 3, and the word 3, which we could sound out. And then 4, 2 pairs of cherries, and 4 seasons. There are many things that there are 4 of. And then we moved on to 5, which really is our hand and a star. And we're starting to see the cherries build, right? So we have 2 pairs and an extra. And then the word 5, that's a word we can sound out. And then 6, that's right, we had fun with 6 because we used popsicle sticks and made these shapes. You might want to try that again if you have sticks of some kind and build these up on desks and see how big you can go. That was really fun memory. And then we get into the 7. We have the 7 colors of the rainbow and the 7 days of the week. And we have our 2, 4, 6, 7, and 7. 8 is definitely a sight word. And then it was around here where we started guessing what the next Roman numerals would be. So you might look through all of these again and see what the pattern is. And and so then we have the spider and the spider's web. That was fun to draw. And we started with a cross here, and then an X, and then we just connected them, right? That was really fun. I think we probably drew our spider first and then did that, but you might do that again. Okay, and then 9 of things in the world, not quite as common as many of the other numbers, and 10, 2 hands, and then 11 and 12, we made a clock. Clocks are really hard to make. We discovered that, but that's what that looks like. And then if you notice all the cherries, it takes us to our even and our odd page. And those pages I gave you freedom so that you would draw things with even numbered, like a bike with 2 wheels. Odd would be like a unicycle. So odd and even numbers, that was a really big one this year. And we'll come back to that in some of the review as I move along here. That odd numbers are when we have a cherry all by itself. That's an odd number, because we have all the pairs and then there's one extra. And then an even number, always all of the cherries are paired. So that is a really important thing to know. So every other number is odd and even. So 9 is odd and 10 is even. We'll come back to that. And then we started to do this, which we did again at another time, but it has the 1 equals 1 plus 0, and then this was pretty complex. This was one of the harder pages that we did. And then we did this, and we had our little eucalyptus buttons, and we divided them up. This was all about separating them out into groups, and I helped lead you. And now that you understand division more, it might make more sense, because we had our 12, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but 2 groups of how many? So you would do 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 12. Or we have 1, 2, 3 groups of 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 times 4, 3 groups of, 3 groups of 4 is 12. But then we have these groups. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. And then we can do it one more way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 2 is, so 6 times 2 is 12, which is amazing, but it's true in every case. So, and then you might remember this. This was quite a project. First of all, just setting it up. And do you remember how we made those little green dots? Yeah, we used gems, and so we spread them out on our opened main lesson book page, and then we had to carefully write our numbers really, really well. And then we had done this with string on the ground with each other, and that was such, do you remember that? We had these number lines, and some groups were the 2 groups, and some were the 3s, and some of the 4s. And we drew, if you look at the, mine has blue. I think we use the same colors as each other, so you can look at yours. But every 2 jumps, and you can say your 2s table if you follow the 2s. And then you look at the 3s, and that's, I have a, looks like red violet, and 3, 6, 9. You can follow all those little bunny jumps. You all have bunnies on this page. And then the 4s. Look at the 4 in purple, and you can follow the 4s. And why? That is the 4s table, and you can even sing it. And then the 5s, and then the big 10s. That is pretty cool. And here we go. This one over here. You might remember how we were doing 12 can march, which is really a lot like the squirrel and the acorns one, except this, you can look at it another way. And we were trying to do this as walking in groups, in pairs of people. It was really hard. We did that in the Eurythmy room. I would like to try that again next year, and I think we'll be more successful. And then we are here, and I'll move this. And then we drew it as flowers, more multiplication. So you can see 3 pots, each with 3, equals 9. And then we have 5 pots, each with 4. 5 times 4 is 20. Groups of is an X. Okay, now this way. Remember this? Okay, this was when we started right at the very, very beginning of distant learning. And we have these 2 sets. And the blue, are those odd or even numbers? And then the red, are those odd or even? It's pretty amazing how the whole entire set of these is one thing, and I'll tell you now, it's even. And the whole set over here are odd. And if you just marvel at how that works, think about it. Pretty neat. And we will come back to those, but you're going to want to know those by heart for next year. 7 plus what is 10, for instance. 4 plus what is 10. and so on. And then we did these, and this is another set of math that we were adding up and learning in our heads, and I call these doubles. It's the number added to itself, which is perfect. So you want to work on that as well, or we have been. And look at those answers. Are those even or odd? All of them. Okay, and then we came to another part of the year where we saw all of these. I want to fix this because I like when they're all in good order. And so all of our characters, remember them? King Paulo Plus, he liked his garden, and he liked to add up his apples and to know how many he had. And then Queen Malia Minus, she was so tender and grew up and to find out that people didn't have what they need, so she would collect things and she would give them away. And then Rajataj Times, he was like a magician, and he could multiply things really fast, get high numbers. And then Dame Divinia Divide, she came in on her horse, she knew martial arts, and she drove out all the robbers and divided up everything evenly to everyone. And those characters have been helping us so that we know just what all those symbols mean and how to move numbers around. And then this was a time when we were in distant learning pretty early, where we drew this, and it's a math sentence. We would say this, but we actually wrote it. And we have our birds up there, and we have our other birds flying away. And let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 birds sat in a tree. 7 flew away, and then there were 3. If we turn it into a math problem, it's 10 take away 7. 10 minus 7 equals 3. And then in distance learning, we had this. And this was quite a project. It had many different steps. I really wanted you to gather things from your yard and do it in 11s, because we were learning the 11s table. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 110, 121, 132. And so that's what that is. And even before that, actually, we had this one. And I read the story of the Bremen Town musicians, and we drew them all, the donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster. And then we just did an addition problem, a multiplication, a subtraction, and a division. If we look at those, so we add 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12, or 4 groups of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12 equals 12. And then you have a total of 12 again, but you take away 4, and you have 8. Or you have 12, and you divide it into 2 groups, and you get 6. And then we take it home to our very last assignment, and that is this. This was quite a project. If you had a chance to do it, if you haven't, I think you'll really get a lot out of it. And we had to fold this. There was a whole explanation on how to fold the paper, and then how to put the colors in, and then we went to sleep. And we came back the next day and wrote skip counting, and we wrote these numbers. We did the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 10s, and the 11s. So I'm very proud of you with all the work that we've done. You see all of this that you learned this year. It's amazing. And we will just continue to build on it together when we're together next year in 2nd grade. So celebrate math. Happy summer.